Hey guys, my name is Jason. I'm a TA in Bio 104. I'm going to be helping you guys go through assignment 2. And to do that, I'm using the Lab 2 handouts. Okay, so I'm just following along with what you guys have. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going. We'll go to Bio 104 assignment. Cool. All right, I kind of already started some of it, but let me delete that. Okay, cool. So how I like to start all of my R scripts is at the top you can see author, date, project. I name my projects. So this is assignment 2. You could put assignment 2, Bio 104 fall 2020 or whatever. Name whatever you want. And then I like to put a last updated because sometimes I come back to the same the same R script, right? Okay, so I usually break my code up into different steps or different parts. So I started part 1 already because you guys have already done this, which is import your data, right? You did that with assignment 1. So import our data using the Google Sheets. I had to do it using, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Google Sheets, yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. And then the next step is going to be processing our data, right? So step 1 was importing our data. Let's switch it from part to steps. I like step more. Okay, step 2, format our data. Because ultimately we want our data in a format that we can create this graph in the bottom right hand corner of my R console in my plots. Okay, so that will automatically upload just like our box plot last time as we build it. It's just there because I had already built it before this video. Okay, so format our data so we can graph. Good. Perfect. Okay. I like to make these little notes just because sometimes you might think, oh, I'll know kind of what I was planning on doing, but then you come back to it and you realize, what the heck was I thinking? So, or I do that a lot. So I like to excessively make notes. But the first thing that we want to do is understand our data set after we imported it as the snail data. So one way you can do that is just by looking at it. So you can just click on it in your global environment and you can say, okay, we've got 5 variables. We've got exp, which is experiment, group, generation, snail, color, snails. And you can kind of look, okay, that's just kind of, this looks familiar. This looks like what it looked like in the Google Sheets, which is good. Okay. Another way that you can start looking at it is by looking at the column names through the column names command, right, which we did last time. So we'll say column names, and it'll spit out in our console our column names, and that can be useful if you have, a bunch of column names and it's overwhelming to look at them in the data set. Sometimes it's easier to just have them spit out in the console. But I like to check my data throughout my whole time. So I'll continuously click on the data and look at it to make sure that it looks how I'm expecting it to look. And if there's any issues, I don't get too far before too far down with a mistake. Okay, so we're gonna need the dplyr package to run this. So I've already installed it, but remember how to do it is you install it in your install packages, and then you call it through your library. I think maybe through Zoom or through our contract, if you're using the online R, which you all will be, you might not have to do the install packages. Whoops, packages. Is that how you spell packages? It looks weird to me. Oh, two E's. Okay, perfect. So yeah, just in case library doesn't find it, you can always go back and use this install packages command. Okay, so next we're going to group our data because we need it to be in the format. So we're going to group it by experiment, generation, and color. Okay, so to do that, remember we use the group by, which we used last assignment. So we'll create a new data set based on our old one, group snail data, and we're going to use the command group underscore by, and we call the data set that we were using, or that we're going to use, we call, and then we say what variables we want to group by. So experiment, generation, and snail color. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's run this. Looks like it made it, which is good. So, oh, I kind of called it something weird. Group snail snail. Let's call it group snail data. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Rename it group snail data. Now we can look at it. This is our group snail data, and it's grouped by group, generation, and snail color. So we have the number of snails in experiment 1, group 1, generation 0 that are red. And then experiment 1, group 1, generation 0 that are white. So we have the explicit number of snails. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay. Now we're going to create, since we're going to use the mean and standard deviation to make this plot down in the bottom right-hand corner in the plots, we're going to create a new data set that has the means and then add on the standard deviation as well. So we'll say create data set that finds the mean of each variable. And we want the mean of snails of each variable, right? Okay, so by snails. Cool. So we're going to call that snail data means. We're going to create that. And we're going to say that we're going to use the summarize or the sum command. And we're going to use the group snail data. Snail data. And we're going to create a new variable called mean, and it is the mean of snails. Boom. All right, let's see if this worked. Run. Looks like it worked. Snail data means. Is that what we created? Snail data means. Oh, perfect. So we have the mean of each experiment, generation, and snail color, right? So experiment 1, generation 0, snail color red, we have that mean. Experiment 1, generation 0, snail color white, we have that mean. And then we have it for the next generation, and then we'll have it for the next experiment. Same format. Okay, cool. So we looked at that, so we know we're on the right track. Perfect. All right, so now remember we need the standard deviations to make the error bars, which we talked about in class. So we're going to say create another data set that finds the standard deviation of each variable. Standard deviation of each variable. Okay. So now we're going to call that snail data means standard deviation. Okay. So you see how as we're building our data sets, we're just adding to the name more descriptively. That's one way to do it. Cool. So we're actually going to use the same command, the summarize command, but we're just going to copy, or we're just going to add on the standard deviation at the end. So I'm just going to copy it so that we don't mistype anything. So I'll call the name again, SD, summarize, and then at the end here, we're going to add in standard deviation equals SD snails, right? Because we want the standard deviation of the snails. All right, let's see if this works. Boom. It ran. That's good. Let's see. Look at it. Yep, we got our mean and we got our standard deviation. And a quick way to make sure that it makes sense is standard deviation if the mean is the same. I don't know what I'm saying. Never mind. Just we have mean, we have standard deviation. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay. All right. So now we have a data set that works. So maybe I'll stop this video because this is all the data processing, and we'll start a new video with just graphing. All right, so I'm going to stop this, and then you can click to the next video for the graphing.